Leadership is work. We have to acknowledge and embrace that it requires ongoing effort if we're sincere about wanting to enhance our leadership. The truth is, none of us are born great or stay great without doing the work. To create a strong foundation for this work, we first need a framework. The Learn, Lead, Lift framework pictured here on your screen has 3 elements. Mindsets are how you think. They operate similar to mental lenses. Consider how you approach your work, relationships, and any other situation. Ask yourself, how do your mindsets today support the leader you want to be tomorrow? Skill sets are what you know or know how to do. A good analogy for skill sets are handheld tools. Think hammer, saw, nails, etc. And the knowledge that it takes for you to use those tools. Are you fully leveraging your interpersonal skills to lead well and bring out the best in others? Behaviors are how you show up to people. How do they experience you? In other words, what's your brand as a leader? What are you known for? When people describe you, what do they say? During your learning session or while reading Learn, Lead, Lift, you'll be introduced to each of these elements separately, and you can work on each of them separately. However, magic happens when you combine them because together they multiply the positive impact you have as a leader. Now that you've had a sneak peek at the framework, take a moment to reflect on what these terms mean to you. Please pause this recording to answer these reflection questions and capture your answers in the action guide. Based on your experience, what would you say are important mindsets, skill sets, or behaviors for leaders? How do they impact a team or organization's ability to adapt to changing conditions? Welcome back. Now that you have a basic understanding of the Learn, Lead, Lift framework, join me in learning more about the mindsets, skill sets, and behaviors. You can learn more about these in my book, Learn, Lead, Lift, and in subsequent learning modules. Remember, this introduction has been designed to help you determine, using your course compass, where to invest your time and attention for the highest payoff. First, we're going to look at mindsets. Mindsets are how you think, and they operate at the neurological level. They affect what we pay attention to, what we learn, and what we remember. In short, everything that we receive in terms of information about the world is being filtered through our mindsets. For leaders, the implications of that are profound. If you don't address your mindsets, if you're not aware of them, and you don't make any effort to optimize them, then your ability to acquire new skill sets or to show up with behaviors that you need to lead well is going to be compromised. While all 3 parts of the Learn, Lead, Lift framework are important for great leadership, mindsets are a really good starting point because they will either inhibit or enable almost everything else we try to do. What are Learn, Lead, Lift mindsets? Notice on your screen that there are 6 mindsets. You may also refer to them in your action guide. Each of the mindsets and their definitions are included there. While we're not going to walk through all of these right now, I want to call your attention to one specific example which I mentioned earlier when we talked about space agreements, which is growth mindset. Growth mindset is a belief that learning and change are always possible. A setback or a failure means that you can adjust something and then try again to achieve your goal. Having a growth mindset means that you're open to learning new things and evolving your assumptions of what's true. Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on Learn, Lead, Lift mindsets and their definitions. You can find that complete listing in your action guide. Please review them now and then answer this question. If you could wave a magic wand and instantly improve in just one of the mindsets, which one would you choose and why? Pause the video now and resume once you've finished recording your answer. Welcome back. How was that for you? Did you choose something that would really stretch you? Looking back at your course compass, does the mindset you chose align with your leadership challenge? Take a moment to review the mindsets now or at a later time, whenever you're struggling to work through a leadership challenge. Now let's consider how skill sets help us to execute on our mindsets. Skill sets are what you know or know how to do, and they really matter in leadership, especially the types of skills that we often describe as soft skills. For example, emotional intelligence, facilitating change, and inspiring and including all tie back to the core definition of leadership as influence. There are 7 skill sets in the Learn, Lead, Lift framework. Notice they appear both here on my screen as well as in your action guide. I'm going to lift up one example here, 360 influence. Historically, leaders honed their influencing skills in only one or two directions, usually up or laterally. There was no need to influence your subordinates because you led strictly through authority. You gave orders, your subordinates followed them, end of story. That paradigm, which we'll call command and control, is the one most of us grew up with who are currently leading in the workforce. The command and control paradigm may inform a lot of what we believe in terms of leadership. Enter the concept of 360 influence and the story gets a lot more interesting. Concepts like managing up have become very popular as a something I want to learn topic for curriculum and forums. Great leaders seek to maximize power with, which is partnership, and power to, which is agency. Not power over, like you do with authority, which is also known as dominance. That's why building your 360 influence through relationship and reciprocity is so very vital. This skill set and all of the skill sets in the Learn, Lead, Lift framework are synergistically going to provide you with added leverage around influence. Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on Learn, Lead, Lift skill sets and their definitions. You can find a complete listing in your action guide. Please review them and then answer the following questions. Which one of the skill sets has been the most challenging for you to develop so far? How so? Pause the video now and resume when you're finished recording your answers. Welcome back. How was that for you? Sometimes it can be exciting to come to an awareness and learn something new about ourselves. Other times, it can be hard to admit when we have an opportunity to improve in some way. Can I just say thank you for doing this exercise? It's a courageous move to acknowledge what it will take for you to make a change. And the work you're doing to prepare for your learning journey is such an important stepping stone. Now that we've talked so far about mindsets, which are how you think, and about skill sets, which are what you know or know how to do, we're ready to discuss Learn, Lead, Lift behaviors. Behaviors are how other people experience you as a leader, or how you show up to them. An easy way to remember Learn, Lead, Lift behaviors is to think of the acronym FIDA. FIDA stands for the 5 behaviors that all great leaders demonstrate consistently. It's also where I like to say the rubber meets the road. I've worked with many leaders over the years who had a keen sense of how they could improve, but they just couldn't execute. Or their execution was so half-hearted or underpowered that other people around them barely noticed a difference. They just didn't behave that differently in the eyes of their coworkers and colleagues. All 5 FIDA behaviors matter when it comes to leadership. One is not more important than the others. Let's take a look at them now. FIDA stands for focus, integrity, decisiveness, authenticity, and humility. Together, they create a synergy all on their own. They make a kind of magic that others are drawn to and they want to follow. While mindsets enable us to learn and grow from new information and experiences, and skill sets enable us to execute as leaders in productive ways, FIDA behaviors create the shared experience that people have around leadership, and there where some very powerful themes emerge. I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but I think that FIDA is always a great touchstone for us to go back to when we think about how we would describe great leadership. What are some of the simple and easy ways that you might want to talk about it when you're discussing leadership with others? Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on Learn, Lead, Lift behaviors and their definitions. You can find a complete listing in your action guide. Please review them and answer the question. Which FIDA behavior would people say is your biggest strength? And what could you do to amplify that? Pause the video now and resume when you're finished recording your answers. Welcome back. How was that for you? When we reflect on how our behaviors have impacted others, you might recall a time when it was either a positive experience or a negative one. If it was a positive experience, use that behavior as something to build on. And if it was a negative experience, consider what your intentions were. Even when we have good intentions, sometimes what we say or do may just not be in alignment with the impact that we want to have. Give yourself some grace and consider how you could improve on your behavior next time. Changing behavior is the hardest thing we can do, next to controlling how we blink and breathe. So each time you notice a positive impact when you're trying to shift your behavior, please congratulate yourself. Recognize that it took effort on your part and a response from someone else. That response from someone else is new information that you can work with to continue improving. The time and attention you've invested during this session is very important. You are building your self-awareness and your ability to express a more effective leadership style. Please join me in the next video for what causes leaders to derail.